Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you again for joining me here in my wife and I's forever vintage story world. If you're new here, as I keep saying, I do things differently, tend to ramble, get into little asides, kind of circle the point. I try to put chapters down below to make it easier for normal people to navigate my video and find the parts that are useful or interesting to them. So if you feel like skipping, no harm, no foul, really don't care about YouTube's metrics, go ahead and skip around to your heart's content. Beginning now. All right. For everybody else, again, thank you most kindly for your patience and understanding, and even perhaps your interest in the way I do things here. It really does keep me motivated. Today, I'm trying to close down on the backlog again, and like I said in the last video, the next thing we do is going to be the chemical plant. So today's video is obviously something else. No, I'm kidding. We're actually going to do the chemical plant this time. I know I kept teasing that with the Salt graduation tower. That took forever to actually do. But no, we're going to go right into what I said last time for once. And I'm going to show off what I keep calling our chemical plant. It's really just a big shell where I kind of stuffed all of, I don't know, like tertiary crafting in the game. Like the sulfuric acid, the glue, the dyes to an extent. Aqua Vitae gets made over there. And then I think there's a couple other processes that we just handle over there because those materials are also nearby, like making mortar or plaster. So I kind of wanted a place to do all that stuff. I could have broke those things up in their own individual buildings. I didn't do that. I really wanted something industrial right there to kind of work. Because like I have this weird combination going where it's like colonial, artisanal, mixed with like early industrial stuff. So I wanted something that was just starkly, like for sure, wholeheartedly industrial to be over there. And I think I really nailed it with this building. It is in the vicinity of like the factory and the tannery and stuff like that. So it's not sticking out like a sore thumb. The color palette is kind of unique. It's one of my more experimental builds where I started combining other stuff from like stuff that I don't usually use with stuff that I'm more familiar with. And I do like the way it turned out. So we're just going to start with the flyby. Well, you've already seen the outside of the thing. But we're going to go ahead and look at the outside of the building, and then we'll move in and go through the processes, and we'll do my usual Rochambeau. So if you like what you see, if any of it's funny or interesting, or you learn something, some kind of benefits you here, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that typical YouTube algorithm-friendly nonsense. I don't really care about going viral or anything of that nature, but the more vintage story people that see this, the more opportunity there is for somebody who's newer to the game to learn about it, somebody who hasn't picked up the game to get an interest in it, and for more experienced people to maybe share some of their knowledge with me. So I think it's a pretty good opportunity all around if this just gets, shared with everybody. So thank you for those efforts. I am a little sick, so I really don't know how my voice is going to come across. It's probably going to crack and squeak and maybe some more coughs than usual, so I apologize in advance. But without further ado, let's get over to the actual meat of the video, the building itself. All right, and so we're over here at the estate again. This is, again, part of the backlog I'm trying to work through before I can branch out and show off the other stuff. So if you see anything in the background here that showed up in another video, but you didn't quite, catch all of it, or you want something in more detail, when we focus on something in more specifics, when we slow down on something, feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to do something about it. But I think the estate is really about covered and about wrapped up. So we're over here in the more industrial aspect of it that has spread away from the house and farmland area. Feel free to look at the other videos to kind of keep up with the layout here. I just hate to rehash that every single time. But this building exists because a lot of what I keep calling tertiary crafting was kind of getting too much for the space that I had originally allotted for it. Because we progress in the game and there's just more shit to do, and I wasn't ready for that for some reason. So I went ahead and made a big O warehouse to store all the stuff in, and then I gussied it up and made it look like a factory. And a consequence of doing that is that I also intended to actually use it like a production space. Now, with a lot of crafting in this game, it does take place in the grid itself, but there are things that you need to use like a campfire for, or the cooking pot specifically, or perhaps a barrel for mixing. So I wanted to have a place for those things to exist and for the inventory that you're going to need to be accessing to be readily available to make your crafting, your production here a little bit easier. Kind of the same concept I talk about in our Cooper building video, and it's kind of applied to all of my production centered buildings. The tannery. There's a couple pigs over there. What the fuck? Textile shop. Couldn't think of the word. The pig distracted me. Fucking Pumbaa. But over here is where, like I was saying, mordant and plaster and sulfuric acid and glue and like lime water and diluted borax and stuff like that gets used in these other buildings. A lot of that is produced here. Some of this on the inside is unfinished. Like there's recipes that I have not copied over onto the signage yet, mostly because I'm lazy. But this building is a done building. I like using the clinker brick as like a red-brown tone against the blue of the daub and the gray and black brickwork that we see here. I'm doing the classic thing that I keep doing where, of course, this one has an all-brick base to it, but up on the upper level, where it's maybe lighter material or something, there's daub, on, like, looks like it was covering, maybe some kind of blue plaster or paint or something was over top of that brickwork that goes up, and maybe some of that has come away from it. And then I have the tan shingles for the roof pieces. Go ahead and show those off. Fly up here. I'm not quite happy with these roofs. Again, this is before I had tackled that bad boy, which I really like that angle. This one I am less happy with, but I don't exactly hate the shape of the roof. I could have done it better, but it is what it is, and I think it does what it's supposed to do, and that's good enough for me. You know, that's kind of my shtick here. But I like the brown, the darker brown of the clinker brick. I think it ties in well with my little bit of wooden ebony pieces, like with the corner beam and then the shutters over the window or next to the window, so however you want to look at it. Because I mean, there's a little bit of that and the other going on here. I like some variety. Some of these are open, some of these are closed. Some of them one's open, the other's closed, just to mix it up. A little bit of eye candy, a little bit of pizzazz and spice. But again, I like the brown mixing with the brown. And then the light tan, I think, works really well going into that same brown tone that I have going. And those are kind of used as, even the orange roof down there on my on the daub pit down below, which I'll talk more about. Those colors, I think, are nice accents, and that's why I didn't do them in too many amounts. I didn't want to overdo it. I didn't want it to be an even split between the browner hues and the blue, gray, cool colors of the main building itself, the actual structure. And I think the saturation, except for maybe the orange shingle and then the ebony, I think the saturation is pretty consistent between the clinker brick and the brown and blue, or brown and gray, and the blue daub. I think the orange in the ebony and the orange of the shingles are a little brighter, a little bit more saturation going on there, but they're in smaller amounts, and I think it's nice. It's kind of like highlights on the building. What more to talk about here? Oh, okay. The windows. This is the first building. I believe this is the first building. Double check myself here. Yeah, because I did this first and hadn't done it yet. Yeah, this is the first building where I did this 6x6 industrial metal frame with glass in between window type. And I like the way it looked, and I ended up using it in the apiary and stuff like that as well to kind of bleed into, to bleed the artisanal cottage stuff with the industrial, more modern structures. And so this building being almost wholly industrial in its aesthetic, I really felt that the windows couldn't be timber framed or anything like that. So metal it was, and I think black bronze is a good metal for things like this. The iron in the game, if there's some kind of wrought iron or cast iron that was a darker color, or you could like paint the metals or something, it maybe wouldn't matter. But I like the way the black bronze looks. I guess the equivalent stone that you would use to make it look like this, if you didn't want to use the actual metal, would be not basalt, but shale maybe is a pretty close representative of that. Just for all those of you who try to be more economical with it. My wife put this bright lantern here. I'm pretty sure we didn't have anywhere else to put it. I think this is literally a tin bronze. I don't like how gold these are. I'm much more of a brass guy myself, but I like it. And so we went ahead and made some more. And I think I have just those two. Yeah, because this guy's actually brass. And maybe this is brass because this is dirtier over here or something. And that these are, maybe not so much. I don't know. It's just we had a mix going on. We kind of used what was there. I didn't really unify it. It works. I don't look at it too much, and like from a distance, maybe this, maybe this is supposed to be the same material as that over there, but this is overshadowed by these buttresses and the chimney and stuff here, and so it doesn't look as bright as the tin bronze, but it doesn't really matter. The shape of this was kind of going for, again, that 26-degree angle industrial look, early industrial look, where they had the roofs staggered, so that way you'd have these spots. And of course, this one's overshadowed by this, so this doesn't actually function. Hence why there's no windows there. But this one has windows here to allow light to come in, because you didn't want to make the whole roof a sunroof. You wanted to still be able to shed snow and things like that. So you wanted an angled roof, but you need to get light in, and maybe before electricity, or maybe electricity was not to where you were yet, even though it was existing somewhere else at this time. And so you'd have your windows open up here to let the light into the workroom so you could see what you and your people were doing. Outside here also kind of implied that there's gutters. I took the copper pipe that I've used in a couple different places and put it on the corners to make it look like there's runoff and the water goes down. And maybe perhaps this building even utilizes this water in its systems here. You can see they kind of go in, but there's no actual outlet except for that guy. We'll talk about him in a second. And then we even have these like pumps, valves, these other hydrologically related boxes. I don't know. Just looks like machinery that has something to do with the plumbing or something going on in this building. And then some, rusted pieces and stuff. And I'll look at that again in a little bit closer of a second. Look at that a little bit closer here in a second. I don't know why I put that statement inside parentheses. I don't know what the fuck just happened there. I apologize. Over here we have my typical signage, again inspired by my wife making the sign for the brewery, which is still a difficult word for me to say. I wanted this one to look like it's a flask with some bubbly shit going on inside of it, and maybe the white stuff next to it. Not giggity saying white stuff there, but the white part of the image is like an exclamation point, or like some glowy bits, some sparks or something, just to draw attention to it, like that something magical is happening here, I guess. I don't know. In my mind, sparks and stuff like that kind of imply like a process. And maybe I get that from seeing things twinkle and glitter whenever you're hovering over menu items in video games, perhaps. So that could be a little bit of me influencing that more heavily than what should be. But out here on this side is kind of just where our daub is stored. And I'm having this issue, man. Some of these are still visible. Where are they at? No, that one's... I don't want to look inside yet, but my crate signage is all whack, and I don't know how to fix it. But these all have the different colored daubs in there. You see I have the different colored crates. As close as possible to get the daubs separated. And you can see here I even put down some daub blocks and chiseled them to make them look like they're piles of the material. And then we have barrels full of that stuff. And then here is the clay display. That sounds weird to say. That rhymed. Anyway, that also rhymed. Goddamn, get back on track. Anyway, from the trader merchandise stuff. God, I'm sick, and my brain is really working hard to get through the fog, brother. It's killing me. But then I have this the text on the outside here, just to go ahead and talk about that. And a lot of, at least around me, these old industrial buildings from the 1800s are still up. Some of them are getting knocked down or refurbished or replaced or built around, but a lot of them still exist. And you'll see the faint remnants of a Coca-Cola advertisement that was literally painted onto the brick, or maybe it's a message to the people working there or something. And I just wanted to have a text. I needed something to occupy this blank space right here, and I didn't want to put a whole sign. Maybe I could have, maybe I should have, but having some text painted on the wall seemed kind of fitting for the aesthetic that I'm going for here. But the phrase "maintenance is not an event" is very dear to me. It's actually on the urn that we had made for my father, my personal urn made when my father passed. I'm pretty sure this stems from the military, from the Army. Maintenance is not an event. If you don't schedule time to take care of your equipment will schedule that time for you at the most inopportune moment available. And my dad always really drilled into me, maintenance is not an event. Maintenance is not an event. And it's funny because if you think about it, going and doing the thing that is the maintenance, going and tightening that screw, adding the lube, replacing that filter, whatever it is. Like, that is an event. Like, maintenance is an event, but it's supposed to be an ongoing sequence of events that you routinely and consistently do to take care of stuff. And, buddy, did that lesson hit me hard, like a motherfucker. And it hits even harder now that I'm a dad and a family man myself. Put a lot of retrospective on learning that lesson in my youth, I'll say that. But I apply this to everything in my life. Not just a car, not just a house, not just equipment at work or anything like that, but relationships, your talents, your hobbies, your comforts. Like, you have to maintain almost everything in your life, and it is not an event. And maybe that spiel could have been saved for the end of the video, end on something emotional and perhaps even a little bit profound, but no, it's just there. It's just a passing thing. Take it, retain it, leave it, hate it, whatever. But it's there, so I felt the need to point it out. When we come around to the back here, the exit of the building, not to change registers too quickly here on you, but this is like where the waste comes out of the building, giggity. This is the building's asshole, so to speak. I can't make myself laugh too much here because then I'll go into a coughing fit and further derail the thing. But I want it to look like this was nasty, right? Like, I have some destroyed beds from the creative menu, and I put down some rot, and then the old broken fucking door. Maybe this was blocking this water from running that way, and now it's all dilapidated and overflowing. There's some rotted ladders and some chiseled, rusted copper pieces and stuff down there, just to make, and a skeleton, just to make it look like this is really bad and overgrown. And I used some charcoal to put some stain on the wall, and then that drains over here where it gets a little bit more clean, and then it goes through this machine, and that rhymed again. But it goes through this apparatus, this hydraulic pump-looking thing, and then comes out the other side. It's supposed to imply that the water is now clean. How does that work? I don't know. Ask Jonas Falks. Maybe we just have a giant reservoir in here that cycles it through charcoal and sand and other stuff to filter it out as much as possible before it comes back out. Maybe we also heat it up or something and then cool it and then let it drain out or let it condense before it flows back out. I don't know. But it felt wrong to just, like, it would have been realistic, but it felt wrong in my soul to leave the pollution here, but also felt fake to act like there was not going to be any effect. So, in a nice little bundle, I have a diorama, a facade of, you know, a polluting factory. Like, it's right here on this back end. You can imply, like, oh, yeah, this factory's a piece of shit. It's ruining the environment. But then you come over here and, like, real quick before it gets too far away and could affect anything else, we're cleaning it up. Like, in reality, this apparatus would probably realistically be attached to the side of the building if they thought about it like that, and you wouldn't have this gunky part. But for storytelling purposes, for setting the vibe in the narrative, I felt like you needed to have the gunky, overgrown part. And perhaps it wasn't as overgrown and this was more dead until they put this in here, and now it's not as bad or something. You know, it's whatever the viewer, the reader takes away from it. But my intent here was, this is dirty because it's a factory and that sucks, but it's the price you pay for progress. And then here is where, oh, that price is too high. We need to lower the cost. So that's kind of my operating logic here. It would have been more realistic, I guess, like in the feel of it, for this to not be here and for the runoff to just run off into our fucking creek and then go down here and disappear into the water table, because we're not pumping any drinking water from this. But it still felt mean to our fake digital 3D environment here. So I went ahead and put a filter on it. And you can see I got these some storage around the outside here, and I have this right here is a cellar. This is to store liquor and aquavitae. It's just in there. I don't think you actually need to store it in a cellar though, but I think at the time I was under the impression that you did, that it would last even longer. But I think aquavitae doesn't even have a spoilage rate to it, and I'm pretty sure the liquor doesn't either. So I don't even really need the cellar. This could have just been storage there. But I like the bulb, the bulge, giggity, coming out from the wall right there. And you can kind of see with this this juttied brick piece, you can see why that has happened as well. But like in hindsight, I'm not going to change this. It's too much work. I'm not fucking doing it. But in hindsight, what this jettied piece up here is doing, I really could have put in here and then stored the liquor, aquavitae, for that process somewhere else. I'm really not sure what door to go in here, giggity. There's 3 entrances, giggity. But I think I'm going to go through the front door because I'm a gentleman. So we come around here to where, I mean, you guys have seen all this stuff already. I kind of like how imposing this is. Like it's like you have to fucking look up, and this is one of my taller buildings, except for like the windmills, I guess, but in the factory. But I like the way this looks. It's rather imposing. I like the daub coming off of the brick. I like how that's put in there. I like the brick framing around the windows. I like the combination of like the slight bit of wood here and there plastered on top of the obviously mostly, mason work and perhaps even metal infrastructure of the building. But we come through the main entrance, the double doors here, and buddy, it's busy, right? Like I really don't even know where to start here. So I'm gonna. These were all here a second ago. These were all logoed, man, and now they're not. I have no idea what's going on with my crates, but it is pissing me off. Anyway, this is the other door that I was looking at, but over here is our stove area, furnace area. I basically made it look like storage underneath with the crates, and these are creative assets. But I chiseled that. But that was a lot of ands. But I chiseled a metal furnace stove range thing to be underneath these range hoods, so that way when you put the campfire on it, it looks far more industrial than just having a bunch of campfires on the ground. Because you're not cavemen. I really do feel like this game needs some kind of, because like you have an oven for bread, but I feel like there needs to be some kind of stove thing. But this is as close as I can get to making it look like that. And this is where we like cook our glue, and we boil something else over here. My wife usually handles that. I just built the place. I don't actually work here. That's a question for my wife. I should have asked her before she went to work. But up here we store some chemicals. We got some pipes and ropes and stuff going across. Some metal beams to hold up the roof. Again, the ceiling in here is flat and boring because, one, it's not the focus of the thing at all, and two, it's a factory. They would just do structural supports across the top. They're not going to make it ornate or interesting looking, and because of the structure of this building, you're not going to have trusses and beams and stuff going across like that. So there's just some metal framing, some I-beams or something. I guess those are beams, not wooden beams. You know what I mean? Up there, literally against the ceiling to hold it up, running from brick wall to brick wall. And that gives us a lot of space right here that could have been used, but I couldn't really think of anything to put in there unless I wanted to expand the mechanics of my hoist. But that didn't really seem necessary either. So I guess this does have some dead space on the wall, some dead air. But is it really dead, or is it balancing out all the clutter from everywhere else? I don't know. Let me know. You decide. It's like epic rap battles of history. But this is where we store most of the ingredients for making mortar, or for perhaps doing calcined flint, the powdered charcoal, stuff like that. And then this is where we store, I have the recipes for sulfuric acid, the pitch glue. Buckets of those things would be stored right there, as well as buckets of lime water and diluted borax, but they're not on display. We have our distilleries for actually turning the liquor from the brewery, that word is so hard for me, into aqua vitae over here. And maybe that could have also just been done at the brewery, the distillery, but I decided that it was another reason to have stuff in the chemical plant. And aqua vitae is not, it's supposed to be like a medicinal thing. It's not really a beverage. It's isopropyl alcohol, essentially, in the world. So that seemed fitting to make it over here in the chemical plant. And then over here is where this is some daub recipes. This is where the daub actually gets made. It's stored out there and around the corner. But this is where it's actually done. And in here would be all the different colors of sand that you need. And then the two dyes to actually facilitate making those things. And so that all happens over here. And then we got, again, some more trader merchandise assets scattered around. And then some more recipes that are not finished. More storage for things like logs and dry grass and stuff like that, I believe, is over here. Firewood for operating these bad puppies. And then over here is just this is really just storage for barrels. But I really wanted it to look super complex and advanced and chemical and industrial. And I feel like I nailed it by having all the different pipes and stuff crisscrossing, and the copper pipes and everything literally embedded in the wall, like it's built into the infrastructure and not like an afterthought. Not that this stuff was shoved in here, but that this building was built to facilitate the work that is being done. And so I have various different things. I've reused different aspects, like from the irrigation system and then re-chiseled it. I got some stuff from the distillery itself and re-chiseled it. And then some of these things are from the workstation that's out front that we no longer use, and I just re-chiseled those. But I put barrels underneath all these different tanks and stuff that look like they're possibly doing things, and there's even some like hidden behind these doors, to make it look like there's some kind of process happening here, like this is going through here and becoming this before coming out as that. And then this is where all the waste from all that drops down, and then I guess also over here, and then that all runs out the back of the building. But there's just two, I guess, aisles, two lines, like this wall was doing one thing and that wall is doing a whole different process. What are these things doing? I couldn't tell you. I don't even fucking work here. Did I build it? Yeah, but I didn't build it for me. I just built it so it looked like this. I don't know what any of this fucking does. It just looks like it does something. Maybe we're boiling this. Maybe we're mixing that. Maybe that's condensing. I don't know. Sue me. But I think it looks pretty busy, and I like the way it looks. This wall could have been a little different, or maybe we should just took that flush all the way. But I wanted to make it look like it was, I don't know, angled or trussed or supported in some fashion. But I don't hate it. I like the way it looks. This corner came out really busy, and I'm very happy with it. What is this down here? I think that's tannin. I don't know what that is. Maybe mordant? That might be mordant. I don't know. Sue me. But that's the downstairs. Giggity, really. And again, this door right here comes out back. I have no idea how long this is taking. I keep rambling, and I'm struggling to find words, but hopefully it still fucking hits. I don't... Okay, I had some kind of weird... Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just had some kind of weird glitch. But anyway, we're going to go upstairs now. There's kind of two different ways to get up there. We have the hoist, which is not really a way to get up there, but I want to mention it before we go up. This is for, in my mind, moving things that are happening upstairs to the downstairs. This table right here with the apparatus and the cauldron are kind of in the way, but my thinking was that they can lower the barrels and things like that up and down versus having to like carry them up and down the stairs or the ladder. This definitely makes it easier for everybody. But there is actually a ladder, and I wish there was metal ladders in this game, but maybe I'll come through here with the, not ebony, but the new, because they have different ladders and different woods now in the game. The walnut, because that looks closer to the iron with its like faded purple look. Maybe I'll do that here instead. But that ladder goes up, and then this staircase right here goes up, which is heavily chiseled, and I should have chiseled it a little bit differently. I might go back through and do it differently, but it works good enough to get me up. And it looks industrial, scaffolding-like, and that's what I was going for, so I don't hate it. And then this took several different tricks. You can see some of these are plates sitting on top of the floor, and some of these are simply the top of the block below it. But I had to do that to fit stuff underneath for storage, and so stuff gets set down up here. But we come up the stairs, and you can come up the ladder, and the first thing you will encounter is the mechanism for the hoist. You can see I have some kind of turnstile there. There's different levers. And then this is implied to be some kind of heavy gearbox on either side of it. And then the winch, because that's the hook. I feel like that piece in the middle is the winch. I really don't know. Correct me, somebody who's more structurally engineered than I am. But that rope coils around it, or I guess this would be a cable. It's technically still made out of rope. But it just goes down to the hook where you hook the barrels on and then bring it back up and load it over there. You use a hook and like pull the barrel towards you. You guys have seen that like in haylofts and things of that nature. The rope is again claystone and conglomerate cobblestone, just because I like it. Looks like it's a rope braided texture when you squint at it the right way. And then there's more pipes over here. We're closer to the ceiling now, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm not sure why this strip is blue and the others are not. I think that is because that is all there is separating between this and the outside, and so I kept it blue. Just don't look at it too much. It's not too weird. But you come around here, and there's more pipes in the wall. You can see the shutters on the inside. I don't know if there'd be indoor and outdoor shutters, but I needed something on the inside to, like, give this place some texture and relief and depth on the wall besides just the window cutout itself. And so I put these, you see I use walnut, the walnut trap doors as my shutters instead of the ebony like it's outside. I don't know that you'd have shutters inside and out. That doesn't make sense. Your shutters would be outside to block light and keep rocks and stuff from smacking into your windows when it gets stormy. But you have these shutters up there basically just to occupy space and add texture. And then over here is just a platform where there's barrels and stuff for storage. But this is the only real process that occurs up here. This is our dye making area. I said it before over at the textile shop in the tannery discussion. Somebody had commented. I didn't look at the username. I should have. But they pointed out that the barrels next to that area could be used for dye making and storage. And like, yes, absolutely. And that's probably a good spot to store some of that right next to the textile shop itself. However, long before that, my plan was at least for the dyes to be made here. Now, long-term storage, I have barrels of dyes like in the textile shop. And there's buckets of dye stored somewhere. I don't know where anything is now because everything's fucking blank, but there's buckets of dye stored somewhere. And then these have all the ingredients inside of them that you would need to make the various dyes. And I still have something up here because we really don't dye a whole lot. Well, no, we dye. We dye in this game a whole lot. We don't dye our clothes or anything very much in this game. Because if you just keep your armor white or the plain cloth or whatever, then you can just carry one stack of cloth with you and repair all of your... Like, I have Gambazin armor, so it repairs all the Gambazin. But we wanted to be cheeky and have colored uniforms because we're gay or something. I don't know. Me and my wife wanted to have colored outfits. So I'm red. I have a red shirt and brown pants in case I bleed or shit myself. Nobody gets scared. And she has, I think, green or yellow because those are her colors. But now we got to carry 2 different stacks of fucking cloth to actually repair our armor. So it's a logistics issue. We're fashionable as fuck. Too sexy for our shirts. But our inventory space has been cut down because we carry repair material with us when we go adventuring. But all the dyeing happens up here. And plus, even though we don't use it a whole lot, it gives us somewhere to store the resources that maybe could be used for other stuff. And we just keep them over here. But also... it gives a sense of purpose for this building as a display piece. Like now when I come in here and do other stuff, like in my brain, oh, there's more going on in here. This is so busy. This is such a busy, functional, industrial, and high productivity building. I love going in here and opening my 3x3 crafting grid and making stuff. But that's like, maybe you guys dye stuff more than I do. Maybe you guys are on a server where like you actually have colored uniforms between your factions or something, and this is more useful. Maybe you're dyeing the stuff to sell it to traders or something, or maybe your gameplay is modded and the dyes are just more useful for more things or something. Maybe you can make tapestries yourself. But I like having a dye making area. We have a water source here that I've chiseled against the table and kind of into the table, so that way there is a permanent water source here, infinite water source, to facilitate the making of the dyes. We have some stuff here stored in the crates that could not fit up there. And then inside here is where onions, cranberries, and blueberries are stored because they are used in making certain dyes. I think like orange or yellow or something, maybe the blue as well. But they expire, so I can't just store the onions up here. So we keep them in a cellar. It's additional food storage. It gives us another place to put the produce that we make from the farm. And so even if we don't end up using these things for the dye, if we run out of onions, we can always come over here and there'll probably be some left over because we don't ever dye. We dye. We just don't dye stuff. Those need to be 2 different words. I don't know. But that is... I mean, that's really it. This building's pretty fucking quick. I mean, I know this is probably still like a 35-minute fucking video because of the way I talk and shit. But I really don't know what to focus on. I think the hoist is really neat. I like doing stuff like this. I've reused these pieces in a couple different places since I've built this thing. I haven't shown any of those off yet because those are outside of the estate. And I haven't gotten there yet. But doing this video is part of getting there. So hopefully it's not too far off. But I like this area. The windows are high up. I needed something to be up here. Maybe these are ladders up on the wall that can be taken down and used. Maybe they're just racks or something. But I wanted something on that wall. I didn't know what to put there more for the process. So if you have a suggestion about what to occupy this space, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video showing me changing it around or something. Kind of like how I plan to change the back side of the clinic and then show that off in a video at some point. But I really didn't know what to do there. Maybe you guys know more about these things happening in here than what I do, and you can give me some advice on what to put over there. I could just do a sign, maybe some kind of chart or table or something like that, like a guide, but really wasn't sure. And then I had this cabinet up on the wall to give us obviously the floor space because I needed somewhere to put the barrels. But because of the way I did the thing underneath, I couldn't actually put the barrels down there because these crates that are storage are not solid objects, so the barrel can't actually sit on them. And if they're sitting down there on these, but not these over here, even though this is a solid floor I could have put it down on, it would have been different than over here with these two, and that would have bothered me. And I hope that makes sense to everybody else who has the same ADHD, autism, OCD, weird shit that I have going on. But I wanted it to be uniform, and so I had to just put down my scaffolding pieces and basically raise them up, which is not too bad because all of these can be accessed from each ladder when you climb up right here. These little, I wish there was a step ladder, but whoa, step ladder, stop, what are you doing? I'm stuck. But these are good enough, and you can access all the barrels. So, yeah, man, I think that's it. I'm going to walk around again. Feel free to, like, again, as I always say, pause, take a screenshot, whatever it is you got to do to find what is useful, what is interesting, what you can apply to your own builds. Again, if you see anything here that you want to steal, by all means, brother, steal it. This is like open source, common market. I just want to see what you do with it. Just send me a DM or make your own video and tag me in it. Some kind of something just so I can see what you did. Maybe I'll learn something from the way you approached it. Maybe I'll find a new color palette that I want to fuck with. I don't know. But feel free to get your references here. If there's anything in here that you think is neat or I didn't focus on enough and you want me to do it in more detail, again, as always, I am all ears to do that stuff. So just one more walk around inside, kind of show off all the different pieces. Again, I don't know what is most interesting to who. I'm sure different aspects of this are interesting to different people for different reasons. So I just try to give them all the coverage that they need. You can even see like where that doesn't quite line up because these are two different pieces. But I had to do it to make the floor up there functional for what I had going on. So it's all fucking ugly. Like, my popsicle sticks are garbage. But, I mean, if you don't look too fucking close at the different ceilings, I feel like this fucking works, man. I like the way this turned out. I think I've done nothing but get better at doing these types of builds since I completed this. Hence, one of the reasons why I went and redid the factory so heavily. And I'm really, really excited to show that one off. And I think, like, unless something else pops up in my mind that I need to do here, I think the factory is going to be the next video. I'm just really not sure. There's the vault that I want to show off and the factory. I'm not sure which one to do next, which one should be last. If you have an opinion, let me know down in the comments. Maybe you can help me narrow that down. But one more flyby of the actual building itself, just to take in the outdoor scenic value here. Again, I'm not as happy with the roof as I could be. My 26-degree incline roofs are a lot smoother now. I think I've really nailed that down. I just have to be more patient about it. Again, huge fan of the clinker bricks. I'm going to keep using those guys. The blue daub, man, I do like that. I think it looks good with the tan roofs. You can even see the blue daub works with my steel building with the darker roof. So, like, for some reason, blue and brown's going good together. I don't know if that's a blue jean and brown shirt thing. I don't know if that's a blue shirt and khaki pants logic. You know, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm liking the brown hues with the blue hues. Them are working for me. But I've learned a lot from this building, and I think I've done nothing but get better. I'm excited to show that stuff off. I don't know what to do next, but this is the final flyby of the building, so y'all can get whatever inspiration it is you need. Again, the color palette is something that I just put together from different color palettes that were nearby, and I ultimately liked the way it looked. I think it tied the other buildings that were kind of sticking out, kind of tied them in and made them feel more like part of the unit and not like weird, you know, sore thumbs sticking out. But other than that, I've improved on the roof. I like incorporating the pipes and stuff like that into the buildings. And again, as I've said 1,000 times, big fan of my 6/6 industrial windows. I'm going to keep using those unless I think of something better for my industrial builds. At least at this scale, because that's just a nice, I don't know, that's just nice. They just stack up real even. They're symmetrical, cut and dry, throw away the materials, move on with my day. Real convenient. But that's all, folks. I really can't think of anything else to say. I appreciate all you guys who have stuck through the whole thing. And those of you who have been skipping around, I hope you skip around to the ending here where I tell you how much I appreciate you and value all of your, one, your attention to this matter, and two, any kind of input or advice or feedback that you can send my way. Again, open to requests. If you have anything, just lay it on me. If I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, I'll be honest with you, and maybe we can figure out something else that you want to see, and maybe I can do that and build it and then show it off in a video. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe if you feel I've earned it. Again, don't really care about the algorithm, like for Al Gore's rhythm's sake. But it does help other people who are interested in this game, or perhaps interested in my videos, or interested in what can be taken from them, find this content. So if you want to help those people out, go ahead and do all that algorithm-friendly nonsense. Other than that, I think I've said the word algorithm enough in this video. My head hurts so bad. I'm so sick. Thank you guys so much. I love you all very much. Stay alive. Stay happy. Until next time.